Our HTML pages look pretty boring. And obviously, this is no CSS course. I got one if you want to learn more about CSS though. But that's just a little side note. But this is no CSS course, but still, it's important to understand how you can serve CSS in your Node apps too, because typically you have CSS and also JavaScript code in your apps. Now let's start simple. I'm on the slash page here, so on shop HTML, and let's add some styling here with good old style tags in the head section. And this is not the way we'll keep it. This is just so that we can work on it and auto-update this, because importing an external style file wouldn't work at the moment, to spoil the fun already. Now, as before, you can skip this lecture if you don't want to write the style together with me, and you'll find it attached to the next lecture. Otherwise, let's do this together. So let's start styling this, and let's start with the header. Now, I won't target the element directly. Instead, this will be my main navigation or my main header. Let's give it a class, main header. This will be the main header nav. And if you're wondering about this strange CSS class name, I'm using a styling system named BEM. More on that can be learned in that CSS course I mentioned, or of course you can Google CSS BEM. It's a certain way of naming your classes to avoid double class names, basically. Here I'll have my main header, header item list, and here I'll have my main header items, like this. And you can, of course, name this however you want. So these are a bunch of CSS classes that should help us with styling. Now let's start with the header. The header should have a width of 100% to take the full width of the page. And let's say it should have a height of 56 pixels. Or if you want to work in REM, which has certain advantages, we could also go with 3.5 REM. Now let's also give it a nice background color. And here you're really free. I'll not stick to red, but now I can hover over this and use this nice color picker and pick any color you want. Now I'll try to pick a nice yellow, goldenish, orange color, something like this maybe. If you click on RGB, it will also convert this to a hex code. So let's use that. And of course the class is not header, but main header. And now if I save this and go back and reload, we got that. Looks better. Now there is some padding in the body, so let's actually define that we want to have no padding and no margin. I think it's a margin, that we don't want to have that. Let's add this. Looks almost better. We still got some margin here at the top. This is coming from our list in here though. That's some margin collapsing doing its job here. Now let's also get rid of that by now also styling our main header item list. So let's copy that, add a class here, set the list style to none, and remove any margin and padding we might have here. That looks better. Now, obviously, the items are not looking nice. For this, I will actually change the display here to flex to use Flexbox for the list, and then style our items here a bit. On these items, for now, I'll remove all margin and padding they might have. Reload. Now, thanks to Flexbox, they're sitting next to each other. Now, let's also style our links in there. So, main header item. Any nested anchor tag should have no text decoration and a color of white, maybe. Looks a bit better. Now, vertical centering would also be nice. And for that, I'll go back to the main header. Back to the main header nav here. Let's add a class for that too. And here I'll first of all use a height of 100% because this is a child element of the main header and therefore it should take all its height. And this will also be display flex now, and we can center items vertically with align items center now. With this, if I save that and reload this page, now this is centered. Now let's add some padding to our main header. For this, let's go here, add a padding. Top and bottom, I don't need padding, but left and right, maybe 1.5 REM. Something like this. On mobile phone, also still okay, I'd say. Let's also change the global font, by the way. So in the body, I'll set the font family to sans serif for now. Looks a bit nicer than the serif font, I think. And now I want to have some spacing between my navigation items there. So let's actually go to the main header item. And let's add a margin to the left and right of 1 rem. Like that. And for now, this will do. Now, a little hover effect for the links maybe. So let's also go here, main header item, hover, and main header item active. And let's also define a rule which would apply if the anchor has an active class attached to it. And there I want to set the color to, well, we have this nice little yellow touch here. So we could go into the bluish direction here, maybe like this purplish color. Let's see how that looks like. Not too shabby. So let's go with that. And now, since we have that active class rule here on shop HTML, where this link is active, we can actually add the active class here. And you will learn how to set that dynamically later in the course too, of course. So now this is active. Now for the main section, let's also style this. Here, I will define a general rule for main that I want to have a padding of, let's say, 1 rem in all directions. And now this is the style I want to go with. Now, let's also, of course, work on the admin add product styling here. And we can simply copy the entire style object from the shop HTML file in the add product HTML file. And this will already get us pretty far. Now, one thing we should change in add product, we should of course add all these classes. So we can basically copy that header. And later we will also learn how to reuse it across files, by the way. So let's copy that header. By the way, that auto formatting I'm doing occasionally can be set up in the preferences by going to the keyboard shortcuts and searching for format document. This is the shortcut I'm using here, but that's just a side note. So here, we now also have to change the active class. It's not on the shop link here, but of course, it should go onto the add product link. And with that, if I now reload this page, looks way better. Now let's work on the form here too. And for this, I want to go to my form, give it a class of product form maybe, the name is up to you. Add a little div, with which I give a class of form control. And in that div, I'll insert this input here, and I'll also add a label for the title. Put title as a label on it. Give that input the ID title so that it matches the label for accessibility reasons simply. And now let's style this too. For this, I'll use my form control. So this class I added to the surrounding div. And here, I want to make sure that a label as well as an input, which is nested in a form control, uses a display of type block so that it takes the full available width. And I also want to style the input then. So the input here should have a border of 1 pixel solid. And then I will reuse that yellow color we used for the header. The font should be inherited so that it uses the default font family and so on. And I'll give it a little border radius of like 2 pixels maybe. Let's see how that looks like. Border radius. If I now reload this, doesn't look too bad. Let's now also work on the button. For this, I will set up a generic button style here for now. Inherit the default font. Give it a border of 1 pixel solid and this light gray. A background of white maybe. Let's maybe give it a black border here simply. And a border radius of 3 pixels. Now let's see how that looks like. It's okay, but let's reuse the yellow color here actually. And let's also give the text that yellow color. Additionally, I want to make sure that we assign the pointer cursor to get this hand cursor when hovering over it. And last but not least, I want to have some spacing between my form control div and the button. So on the form control itself, I'll add some margin to top and bottom of, let's say, 1 rem and 0 left and right. So that this looks like that. And I think for the button, maybe we want to go with the purple color, since that should be easier to read. And let's also assign a hover and an active state for that button. And when it is active, I just want to set the background color to purple and the text color to white then. So now it looks like this. And this doesn't look too shabby. We can go with that, I guess. We can always work on this, and we will continue to work on this throughout the course. But for now, this is good. Let's now center the entire form. And for that, I assigned the product form class to the form. So here, I want to give this a width of, let's say, 30 rem, a max width of 100% or of 90% in case we're on a mobile view. Give it a margin of auto. This will automatically center it horizontally. And now just make sure that the input and so on take the available space. So let's reduce this to 20 actually. I think 30 is a bit too much. And on the form control for label and input, I'll give it a width of 100%. And now this looks much better. Now, I'm not happy with the white text here now that I think about it. So let's actually go to the header and change the white link text to black. Let's see how that looks like. Yeah, I think I prefer that. So let's actually take that and also add it to shop HTML. So that we have the black color there too. And I think the purple could be a little bit darker. So let's now also go to the hover and active style here. And make this a darker purple. And replace the purple in all occurrences with that color style. I'm using a multi-select feature of the IDE here to do that quickly. You can, of course, also search and replace to do that. Reload. Yeah, I think that is a bit better. Now, you can always tweak this to your needs. It's not a CSS course here. I just want to have some basic styling that we can use. So this is the style with which we'll go from now on, and which we'll, of course, continue to tweak. Now, one thing we should also do now, let's copy that style from the shop HTML file and put it into the 404 HTML file here. Because there, I also want to take the header and copy that into there. Because I don't just want to have the page not found thing, I also want to show the header. So that now, if I do enter some route which does not exist, like this, we also get the header there, and we can at least leave that route, though we can't because I obviously got an error in the URL. That should be admin/add product. Let's fix that everywhere here, including our form, of course. Like that. And now if I reload, we can navigate around just fine here. And try adding a book. That seems to work. And with that, we got the styling in there. We got the basic HTML markup. But of course, regarding the styling, the issue is that it's all in our HTML files. It would be nice to have some external files for that, wouldn't it?